Something could happen on this show. You never can tell.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Rock and Roll Show with Pam and Joe. I'm Pam.
And I'm Joe. Hope everybody's doing all right out there. Thank you, Pam. Good to see you, as always. Before we introduce our next guest, awesome guest, just want to remind you out there, check out our website, dickbiondyfilm.com, like our Facebook page, and join our Facebook group. We're at about 450 members already, which is pretty incredible. All right, this is going to be a lot of fun. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Our next guest works in conjunction with Bobby Darin, the son of Bobby Darin, and the Bobby Darin estate is their archivist and historian. He's an awesome dude, and I'm so glad he can join us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jimmy Scalia. Jimmy, how are you?
Hey, very well, thank you. It really is a privilege to be here.
Thank you for joining us tonight. And when I think of it, as time goes on, when I think of Bobby Darin, I mean, he has left just an amazing legacy. And from your perspective and from your experience, what is Bobby Darin's legacy? What would that be in your eyes?
Well, it depends on what avenue you wish to look at for Bobby Darin, because he was so diverse, not in just music, but just in making a difference in the world and utilizing the thing that he loved. He was a very well-rounded guy. So his legacy could just touch the spine of so many art, whether it be rock and roll or swing music or acting or civil rights, or he was just across the board,
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
I just, I don't know if you know this, Jimmy, but Bobby Darin and Dick Biondi were very, very close. Bobby was somebody that came to Dick early on when he was starting out in Youngstown, Ohio. He was a disc jockey. That's where he actually began his rock and roll disc jockey career in Youngstown, Ohio. And he started doing record hops. And Bobby came to his record hops, and they got to know each other. And they just hit it off. And I guess Bobby, he was just starting out. He didn't have any big hits then. And they had this very, very strong friendship over the years. And whenever Bobby was in town, he'd go see Dick. And he ended up giving Dick some medals that he had blessed by the Pope. And Dick carries those medals to this day. I mean, they mean a lot to him. Wow. So he is very, very touched by Bobby, his legacy. So I just wanted you to know that.
I did not know about the medals. I did know they were close, and that they were friends. And I know Dick holds him in high regard. Yeah.
And of course, that'll be in the film, by the way, in the Dick Biondi documentary. Sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, that's okay. Jim, how did you get involved with the Bobby Darin estate? How did that come about for you?
It's been a crazy journey. From a young guy, I always loved Darin, and I collected a lot of stuff, and I bumped into a woman in Missouri who started a website, the Bobby Darin website. She in return introduced me to a woman in the New York area by the name of Harriet Wasser. And so Harriet was Bobby's PR lady. And she introduced me to a man by the name of Steve Blauner, who was Boom Boom, played by John Goodman in the Bobby Darin film. And then one thing just led to another. And I'm just a Lodi guy. I'm a Jersey guy. And I stayed and just in my town, and yet got to meet so many people, and the gates came open, and then I became the archivist. So they would render all these line taps and all this stuff, figuring I was going to help carry the torch for the next generations. And that's how this all started. And that's it. Here I am all these years
you're
later.
the guy. I mean, you seem
I'm
like
the
you're
guy.
a perfect guy for this. I mean, look at your shirt. Tell us about that shirt.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, this is a rock and roll show. So to pay tribute to Dick Biondi, rock and roll, I needed to wear the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class of 1990 shirt, which actually, I guess, I don't have my glasses, got Bobby Darin on there somewhere.
Oh, wow.
And it's a great class because you have Simon and Garfunkel, you have the Who, you have the Kinks, you have the Four Tops, you have the Four Seasons, you have Carole King and Jerry Goffin. You just a lot of people. So class of 1990.
It's a great year.
It was a great year. That's a great year. And that was the year.
Better than 2020 right now, right?
Yeah, right.
Well.
That's true.
So what is that guitar behind you?
Yeah, tell us about that.
Okay. Well, also not just being the archivist and, being a part of the family, the Darin family, they rendered over, Dodd Darin is very generous, and he rendered over some of his dad's memorabilia because I give lectures. And now I bring this stuff, and it's almost like a traveling museum. So I tell Bobby's story, and we get to display many of his artifacts. Now this is a 12-string guitar. It's Brazilian rosewood. And Bobby had this on stage on his last performance in Las Vegas. And he was so generous to gift it to me that, needless to say, I was so moved by it. And,
do you play it all, Jimmy?
I play. I don't play for a living, and if I did, I wouldn't eat much. But I fiddle around, but not with a 12-string. So but I dabble a little bit, piano, guitar, drums. I'm just a little all-around guy.
Just like to play and have some fun with it, right?
Have some fun. That's what it's all about.
Too. Yeah.
That's
I play drums myself a little bit, just for fun.
Say again?
I play drums too a little bit.
Oh, you do? All right, very good. Yeah.
And I play guitar. We should we should.
Well, there you go.
Get together and jam sometime.
There you go.
We'll do a Zoom jam.
That's
we'll
great.
Do a Zoom day. There you go.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jimmy, what is it about Bobby Darin that connects with you? What was it that? What is it that? How does he connect with you so much? Because it seems to be something very special and very, very personal with you.
Yes. My dad went to the School of Performing Arts, and when he joined the Marines, he joined as a musician. So music was really throughout my home. My mom, my dad, I learned about all different types of music. But my dad really liked Bobby Darin. He really loved Sinatra, and he loved all this other stuff, and Elvis and all, but there was something about Darin. And I guess because Pop liked him, I kind of gravitated. And then he gifted me his Bobby Darin Greatest Hits album, and I was 7 years old at the time. And I had three albums I got. I believe it was 1968. The Bobby Darin's Greatest Hits, Tommy James' Moni Moni, and the Monkees, Aquarius, Pisces, Jones, LTD.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good album. And the irony is, Steve Blauner was with the Monkees. He helped create the Monkees. So it was funny how those things overlap. And I just love the guy who could be in a sharkskin suit, Italian guy, a little bite to him. He could be rock and roll. He could definitely be swing. And for me, it was like a smorgasbord. It was just all different types of music, and I loved him. He touched me.
You know,
Yeah.
you said that about your dad, and it reminds me that Mac the Knife was my mom's favorite song.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great tune. As a matter of fact, over the years, just trucking along, I got to do some pretty great stuff. I got to write an essay in the registry of the, having a senior moment, anyway, on Mac the Knife, because I had liner notes, I had photographs, Harriet Wasser was there. She told me the story personally, how that all came about. And Library of Congress, that's what it was.
Oh,
It had,
that's
it had,
awesome.
to, it had to come back
Fantastic.
around. That's it.
So-
Yeah. So, and
I'm
yeah,
familiar with the boomer brain. Trust me.
yeah, I got you.
Oh my gosh. And just out of curiosity, Bobby being an Italian American, I mean, what was his impact? What's Bobby's impact on the Italian American community?
Well, I think they definitely accept him and they celebrate him. I guess like they would Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. He's just one of our own, so to speak, and just of that era and genre that Italian Americans.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about? I had seen that Bobby had this fantastic car. Are you familiar with that car?
The Bobby Darin Dream Car.
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Well, sure. That car was built for him, and he drove it to the Academy Awards. And Steve Blauner was driving, and he and Sandy were in it, and it overheated and broke down. So they had to jump in a limo with Elizabeth Taylor and get to the Academy Awards. But it was a most interesting vehicle, and it's in the Museum of Transportation, which I believe is in Missouri. And that car is on display there. So it was called the Bobby Darin Dream.
It's so unusual. I mean, there's some things about it that were just so. And he had it. Didn't he have it custom made? I mean, he had.
It was custom made, yes, by a fella whose name escapes me now. But he was a designer, and he built this car, and it looks almost like a spaceship, like a futuristic kind of thing,
I mean, it just goes to show what kind of a character Bobby was.
Yeah.
He was not, he wasn't just a performer. The guy was a deep thinker too. I mean, I know he had some problems, for a while there. Later in his career, he kind of went a little hippie or something, right? Do you remember that period? I mean, what happened there?
Well, I think what happened is the people sometimes go through midlife crises, and I think he was going through it in public. But, I don't want to make it sound like a midlife crisis as much as he was just evolving. And he always had his thumb on the pulse. So in the early days when the rock and roll came in the 50s music, he got it. He wrote it, and he was into it. And then we didn't know if rock and roll was going to last forever.
That's right.
So then he was going to go and he was going to hit the Sinatra, the Las Vegas type thing. And he became successful there. But then as he's successful there, he goes to Capitol Records. He starts making folk music. And he's got people like the Wrecking Crew with him. I mean, he's got a great ear. He's got the best in the business. He's got people like Glenn Campbell and Nick Vinay producing and stuff. By the time 66 rolls around in 1967, President Kennedy had been assassinated. Civil rights was starting to come about more predominantly in the news. And Bobby had health issues. And he just decided to continue to grow. So what happened was the Beatles and James Taylor, all these guys were on the cusp of, the Beatles were there. So he put on denim. He left the nightclub, the Las Vegas stage, and was writing protest music. Music that, whatever. So the public were not what they were nowadays. Sometimes we're a little more accepting when our artists, we let them be creative. We let them break out of the box. Sometimes we did not care for that. We wanted what we wanted. So he did do that. And I must tell you, he did some interesting music. He was doing some great Beatles covers and stuff like that. And he was, you know, with Roger McGuinn and all that Encino stuff and all that, you know, those guys were aware of Darin in the industry, not just on the jukebox. You might not see him on the jukebox, but he was always nurturing people and writing music and stuff. Then finally, his health was taking a turn for the worse. And so what he does is he puts a tuxedo back on and he puts his toupee back on and he goes back to work. And the reason why he does this is because he doesn't want to stand in line for medical treatment. And that's the full circle of Darin.
Okay. Well, that.
So,
Yeah. Well, thanks for explaining that, because I've always,
so
you
powerful.
know, I sort of
and
touched on it,
just,
you know,
wow.
and it just seemed to me that, you know, he really was a deep thinker, and he really, you know, was thinking about what was going on at that time, and it really affected him. That's what I got from it.
yeah,
So,
yes.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it too,
You know,
Pam, is
he
that, you
cared.
know, he was, you know, he cared about the world. You know, he was, as we talked about earlier, just being so versatile. I mean, and not afraid to show it. And then, I mean, he was an actor, entertainer.
He was a good actor too.
He was a very good actor. I mean, really. And, you know, some musicians can do that carryover or crossover, you know, being a musician, and then they go into acting. And some of them can pull it off and some of them can't for some reason. But Bobby did, and he did it not just good. I thought
he was great.
Wonderful. And
so.
yeah, absolutely. And I think his legacy is so powerful, just so incredible. And I mean, every time I listen to his music or I watch a video clip of him on YouTube, just entranced by him and just how talented he was.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know, there's everybody that you talked to, and you mentioned Darin. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people for the film, and when you mention Darin, I mean, it's like, oh, Darin, you know, I mean, he's a cut above, really. He just really is. Right. He's a special. He was a special guy. So talented.
Yeah. I always felt that. Well, he was very, very passionate.
Yeah.
And whatever. And when he was on stage, he was in command. And sometimes wearing the denim at the Copacabana or at the Sahara, sometimes people were kind of booing him, but he would not settle.
Wow.
He wanted to do what he was doing because he believed in what he was doing. And that's kind of moxie. I mean,
big time.
He tweaked it later on when he went back to Vegas, because it was most important to sing some of his rock and roll, his protests, FM, let's say, radio type music. But what he did is when he went back with the Tux, he had 4 more. He didn't have just a rock band. He incorporated maybe some brass with it and so on and so forth, and gave them a Beyond the Sea and a Mac the Knife. But yet he could do Fire and Rain or Save the Country, Laura Nero, because he was doing the Troubadour. And he started really making strides there. So for a guy who started with Bandstand, he really got the attention in the late 60s. And that's around the time Elton John and Ricky Nelson and all these other people are, kind of doing the Troubadour too and stuff. So he really had merit,
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And Jimmy, Pam and I wanted to ask you about your film that I believe it was your son that did about you. Tell us more about that and about your history, because we think it's just so really, really unique and really pretty awesome stuff. Tell us about that.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I learned early on, just be who you are. So I never try to act like I was somebody else. So what you see this is it. So the thing is, even with the custodial and wearing the work shoe on one foot, and yet with Darin getting to wear address you going to the Grammys and doing this other stuff. It's incredible. So when I put 25 years in the public schools, my son says, you know, Dad, I have a project I have to do. He was graduated from college. He says, I think I want to shoot you. And I want to do it in black and white and this, that, and, you know, and so he did. And it was great because it lets the people see who I am, both sides, with a uniform on and also with all the people I met with music. So I got to live two lives, but my love on both lives. And it won a couple of awards, that film. So yeah,
it was very well done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It was. Yeah,
thank you. I will.
It was very, very well done. Great story, great filmmaking, and just very. I think of just you got to go to people out there. Go to YouTube and look up Jimmy Scalia's film, and I mean it's really just really.
It's neat.
I think it's on my website also.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your website, Jimmy? What's your website before we forget?
Okay, it's www.jimmyscalia.com.
Awesome.
I can even remember that. And the thing is, it's called Jimmy Scalia, An Honest Portrait.
Yeah.
And that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It is. Your son did a wonderful job. And
thank you. I will.
Pam, before we, Jimmy and Pam, before we forget, we got our buddy, Dennis Tufano, does a great Bobby Darin tribute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He's a great friend.
Yeah.
And when I get to see him, if he's in the Jersey area, I always try to bring him some cannolis. He really is a beautiful guy, and he is so talented. The Bobby Darin show is great. And then I caught him, I think it was Atlantic City, and he was doing like the 60s and stuff like that with a couple of other artists. I'll tell you something, they blew me out the tub. So Dennis Stefano's a beautiful man. He's great.
Yes, he is.
When everything lifts, your viewers, you gotta go check the guy out. He's for real.
Yeah.
We're hoping he comes back to Chicago soon. We miss him.
Yeah.
You know, to perform. I mean, he's
to perform.
Yeah, sure.
Dennis does a spectacular job with the Bobby Darin tribute, and you hit it on the head, Jimmy. I mean, he's really just an awesome guy, and he and I went to the same high school in Chicago. Gordon Tech is the name of it. I think Dennis graduated in '64. I graduated in '90. So we kind of have that little bond, so to speak, and all that. Right. So kind of neat.
So
Jimmy, what else have they got there that you'd like to show us?
Let's see. All right, let's see. Well, first of all, one time when I went to go visit Steve Blauner and Dodd gifted me this. Now, this is Dream Lover.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
wow.
It's the gold record, and he inscribed really beautiful. I don't know if you guys can see that.
That's incredible.
Wow, that's really special.
Oh, I do see that. That's awesome.
They
the thing
appreciate
about
you.
this, you know what? He really does, and he really is a beautiful man. He's a very private guy. He just conducts business. He takes care of his mom's legacy, his dad. So he's got two. He's got his hands full, but they're iconic. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, yes, but he's always been so generous with my family, my boys, my wife. His wife makes hats, and she forever sends some over. She makes custom hats.
Nice.
So just beautiful people. They really are. Now I'll show you something. Let's see. I'm sitting on my wire here. Okay, here. These are Bobby Darin's harmonicas that were gifted me.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
I want to see if I could get it without the glare.
Do you know what keys those were in? You know what key? Because I know harmonicas have different.
Yeah, you know what?
Stuff.
I don't know. That's a good. Do they say it on here?
I don't know. Either way, that's that's awesome.
But yeah, so
Wow.
when
That's
I
so
do
cool.
when I do my presentations, these are the things that I bring along with me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
the thing is, it's really a gas, because what happens is when people come, they enlighten me, because they tell me stories when they saw Bobby at the Copa or wherever. And it just gives me more knowledge as an archivist, you know? So that's great. And I don't know, that music is the best drug. They feel young, they start clapping, they look at the memorabilia and so on and so forth. And in the end, I realize I'm getting more out of it than they're getting out of it, you know, because it's a great vibe and they love him. And anybody who loves him genuinely, I get that high. I don't know. It's just that, you know.
Oh, I
So
know. I know exactly what you're talking about, because the same thing happens with me and with Dick. I mean, you know, I just love talking about Dick, and people come to me with stories all the time. And I've learned a lot from people. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, and he's an incredible disc jockey. I really love him. I love the line. You know, there's a couple of lines I always remember. I work with a guy by the name of Joel Dorn. He produced "Killing Me Softly," Roberta Flack, and he did Bette Midler's second album, I think. And he worked with Dr. John. This guy was great. This guy was cool. And we worked on a Darin project. And one time I took my boys by his office. We were going to go to the Colony record store when it was still open in New York City. And he told my boys, they were young, you know, and he goes, just remember, guys, the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. And I still use that line to this day. But I also like the Dick Biondi line. Take your job serious, but not yourself.
Yeah.
And I just thought that is really great, because the job that you put out is 110%. And if you don't have to take yourself that serious, you could let stuff roll off.
That's right.
But the job never wavers.
That's right.
And I love that quote from him, and I use it.
Oh, really?
That's great.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Because he said that when he was inducted into the Broadcast Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think it had to do with him being such a humble person as well,
Right.
because you know, don't take yourself so seriously like you're some big shot over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
He's just such a regular guy, and I think that's why he and Bobby got along so good, because Bobby was like that too.
I'm sure, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Got anything else there you want to show us?
Yeah, what else you got there?
I don't know. What else I got? I got a, let me see. Well, we have a autographed Earthy album. Now this is his folk album.
Oh, I see. Oh, very cool.
And the thing is, like I say, he was having people like Glenn Campbell and Roger McGuinn playing with him, you know, and he would showcase Roger McGuinn on the Vegas stuff. He got him when he was young, and his name was actually Jim McGuinn at the time. Right. Bring him on stage. Bobby would go off, take the jacket off, come back out with just a white shirt, okay, and you know, his slacks, and then they would do a couple of folk songs, you know, and Roger McGuinn, he would showcase him. But then after a while, Bobby gave Roger McGuinn a guitar. That's when he changed his name back to Roger, you know, and created the Byrds and all that. So Bobby Darin was quite instrumental with people like that. Or the song Donkashin was kind of written for Bobby Darin. He was supposed to do it. And then he went to the Copa and he saw Wayne Newton and his brother, and he had Steve Blauner go to the Copa, and he says, I want you to get this young man. He says, the taller one. He goes, and Wayne came and he goes, I'm going to keep you as a single act if you want. I'm going to give you your big hit, your first big hit. And he did. he sang Dankeschön, which was supposed to be a Bobby Darin song. And then he was producing his albums on Capitol. So Red Roses for a Blue Lady and all this other stuff.
Isn't that nice?
Bobby Darin was responsible for a lot of that stuff.
Honest to God, you know, and that's like Biondi. He did the same thing for all these musicians.
Yep.
So many people.
Yeah.
It's really nice to hear about Bobby.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is
Good
great.
giver.
I can see why they were friends now.
Yeah.
Now you could see it right.
That's
You know
true.
what else? I got to tell you this too, because Dick Biondi got booed, just like you were talking about Bobby getting booed. You know, and when we interviewed Dick, and he talked about when he was at doing a Beatles concert out in California when I think it was 64. I'm pretty sure it was 64. It might have been 65, but he said he had been playing a lot of the Rolling Stones. And when he came out, they introduced him. Everybody booed him. And I said, "Oh my gosh!" And he goes,
Yeah.
"Let him boo." I mean, you know, rolled right up.
That's exactly. You have to love a real guy like that doesn't wobble. You know, and there's just something about that. And there's not a lot of people out there sometimes that are like that.
I know. I wish I was more like that.
They're the real, so do I. Those are the real McCoys, you know.
You're not kidding. Wow. It's awesome. Wow. Let me check the time. Oh, yeah, we're right about that time.
Oh, this has been
fun.
awesome.
Have you got anything else that you want to do before we go?
Well,
Yeah.
Let me see. I don't know. Let me see. I was going to say that, believe it or not, what's old is new. Vinyl is back out.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's cool.
The latest stuff is this Darin Direction music is out on vinyl. I got to work on that. Because I had gotten to produce and work on some stuff. See, Bobby Darin opened so many doors for me. It's just really been a blessing. I got to meet a lot of great people. Tony Orlando, I got to know Tony, and he did Dream Lover. I think he did a demo of Dream Lover, and Carole King was singing background, and he sent it to me because he just idolized Bobby.
Yeah.
You know, so I got to know my heroes. You know, so
Bobby granted him his band before he passed away.
Yes, he bequeathed that band because he knew he was going to stop taking his medicine. He knew his time was running short.
Wow.
And so
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, we had Tony Orlando on our show back in July, and just a wonderful person.
Tony.
Really
Beautiful.
a great guy.
Awesome.
Just fantastic person.
And he and Tony and Dick were very close.
Yeah.
And actually, it was funny because when we interviewed Tony for the film, he did not know that Dick and Bobby were so close. And he was so close to Bobby. And he goes,
Oh, okay.
I had no idea.
Yeah, son of a gun.
That's funny.
Oh, gosh.
Small world.
Well, this
This was great. Oh, my gosh. This was so much fun. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
It was. No, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Before I depart, please check out dickbiondyfilm.com, like the Dick Biondi Film Facebook page, join our Facebook group. And Jimmy, it was really an absolute honor and a pleasure to speak with you and to learn about your history and Bobby Darin's history. Just absolutely fantastic stuff. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
And I'm going to sign off now with everybody out there. And let's hope everybody stays safe and wear your mask. Oh, speaking of masks, Joe, you want to tell everybody about
Yes, I'm glad you reminded me. Right now, you can start ordering the Dick Biondi Film mask on our website, dickbiondyfilm.com. We're taking orders for the masks up until September 13th. That'll be the last day. It'll be a limited time where you can order your Dick Biondi film mask. The design's really, really cool. They did a great job. Amy over at, was it Gold Medal?
Gold.
Gold Medal Ideas, I
Yeah.
believe is the right place. So check it out. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Pam. You rock. Jimmy, you rock too. Everybody out there, keep rocking, and we'll see you next
We'll
time.
see you next time.